It's the 1st of August, and that means we are in the heart of roller coaster announcement season, and who better to get us started than the roller coaster capital of the world, Cedar Point. Top Thrill 2 is the name of the long-awaited Top Thrill Dragster refurbishment, and I got some mixed opinions on it. Mostly good, but a few bad. That seems to be the general consensus at the moment, but I do find it a little funny how some people are out here looking like this. But hey, I'm here for it. You gotta love the passion, and everyone's entitled to their own opinion. I want to hear what everyone has to say about this ride, but for the next few minutes, I'm going to share my complete initial thoughts on this ride. Before I do, make sure to like this video to show your support for what I do here, and subscribe for more roller coaster content coming very soon. Now that being said, let's hop into the pros and cons of Top Thrill 2. Kicking off this list with the most obvious con, we have the name, which is pretty much unanimously considered to be a really bad name. I mean, they really thought hard about this. I appreciate the fact that they wanted to keep the racing theme, and I'm sure they'll do a decent job with it. However, the name is just not it. If you look at all the other conversion names, this is probably one of the worst. I think there's a ton of better names they could have went with. Anything racing would have been really cool. They didn't really have to keep anything from the original name in the name, because everybody basically knows what it was at this point, and I don't think they'd be tricking many people. I think Dragster is probably the best part of the name before, and the fact that they took it out really sucks, but I'm sure people will still call it Dragster anyway, and I think I probably will as well. One potential chance for redemption is if they play Ready to Go by Republica in the station, as that would definitely help to make this better. But yeah, the name gets a thumbs down from me. On the contrary, I do think they got the color scheme right. I know it isn't exactly flashy, but I think the gray looks really sleek along with the red stripes at the top of the top hat and the spike. It's hard to say for sure if I'd say it's better than the old color scheme, but it definitely fits the modern aesthetic they are going for. Speaking of modern, our second con is the LSM launch. We all knew this was coming, but unfortunately the power of the launches will be nowhere near what the hydraulic launch was before. If you ask most people what their favorite part of Dragster was, they'd probably say the launch, and the fact that we are losing it really sucks. I don't think any of the launches are going to be particularly powerful, and I thought maybe the first one would, but it's basically kind of a train ride. Any kick from any of the launches would be a pleasant surprise, but I wouldn't go in expecting anything from them. Luckily, this isn't much of a surprise, as we've known that the hydraulic launch was the most problematic part of the ride, and it would be the first thing to go. My third con might be considered controversial by some, but I think that given what the park is marketing it to be, it would be fair to call the rollback a con. Now, I'm just basing this off the animation, but it looks like you maybe will go up 150, maybe 200 feet on the top hat after the first launch. This is probably going to feel forceless and just kind of stupid. It seems like a very filler element in a ride that doesn't really need it. In the ride description, they try to compare it to the rollback that the ride used to give occasionally, but realistically this isn't going to feel anywhere near as thrilling as that. The park was saying this would be a weightless moment, which might be true, but I don't know. I'd probably just rather launch straight up into the back spike, as it'd probably be a lot more powerful and thrilling. Speaking of the spike, it'll probably be one of, if not the highlight of the ride. I think that this will be by far the best spike in the world, as it will be 420 feet tall, providing an amazing spectacle on and off the ride. This will allow you to take in a great view of the back half of the park, which is something you couldn't really get from the original, at least not for very long. So you'll get a very nice view of Millennium Force, Steel Vengeance, Maverick, and all the rides in the back of the park. I haven't had the chance to experience one of these really big spikes yet, but I think it'll provide some amazing floater airtime, especially if you're up in the back. The other 420 foot tall element of this ride is the top hat, which is my third pro. I think this will feel pretty similar to how it did before, but that's not a bad thing at all. This was a great element, and I think it'll continue to be great. I think there's a shot that it could be even better, as the trains will be one row longer than they were on Dragster, so there might be some extra whip over the drop in the back. And we can't forget that drop was already insane as it was, so I'm really excited to have that at the park again. Another pro for this ride is the new trains. I don't think anyone ever complained about the trains the coaster used to have, but these Zampero Lightning trains look really solid as well. They seem very similar to Intamin's new trains with the very open lap bars. I also love the color scheme and aesthetic of the trains as well, and I feel like they're more flashy than the old ones. It looks like the wheels are going to be exposed as well, which is a really nice little touch to add to the theming of the ride. I don't think blue would have been my first choice for the color of the new trains, but I think it works fine. The biggest con with these new trains is that there will only be 3 of them. This is a big change from the original Dragster where there used to be 6 different trains, typically with 5 of them running at one time. Capacity is going to take a massive hit with the new layout and block zone design, as only 1 train will be on the track at a time. Cedar Point used to churn out trains with the dual loading station, but it looks like they'll have to wait quite a bit in between trains. I'm sure this ride will probably have one of the longest waits in the park, given the capacity of the trains combined with the hype of this giant coaster. Definitely look for Cedar Point to add some more high capacity additions in the future. The good news is that after you wait in what will likely be an extremely lengthy line, you'll be on the ride a lot longer than you used to be. The park is claiming a 2-minute ride time, which is definitely inflated total counting the switch track and probably the brakes. However, it does appear that the ride will be a lot longer than the 30 seconds or so of prime ride time that the original had before. The final pro is that the area around the ride appears to be getting a refresh. I'm not too sure if the park will call this an official area of the park, but it seems like they're referring to it as CP Racing, so I'd lean towards yes. We'll have to wait and see. It doesn't look like there's going to be any new flat ride additions, but potentially some new food stands in the area, but we'll have to see. The park is going to bring back the bleachers, bringing in a fresh new entrance portal, and lighten up the aesthetic of the surrounding area. Interestingly, the queue will remain in the infield of the ride, but from the animation it looks like the shading structures will be upgraded to have a metal roofing. I know the trains being replaced would be technically redundant, but it would be wise for the park to just add a little bit of extra protection given all the media coverage of the accident that made people believe that waiting in line for this ride may be unsafe. To wrap it all up, this ride will be a very welcome addition to Cedar Point's lineup. There was definitely no good in leaving this ride sitting around or scrapping the massive structure entirely, so I'm glad the park found a way to revive the ride. One of the other big things people have been complaining about is the park's choice to go with Zamperla to renovate this ride, and to be fair, it definitely was an odd choice. However, given the park's rocky history with Intamin and how they weren't able to fix some of the ride's shortcomings, it makes sense why they try to bring in someone new. I know Zamperla has never done a project like this before, but they are a world-renowned company that has had a hand in building hundreds if not thousands of rides across the world. So that's why I'm reserving my judgment until we get a chance to experience this coaster for ourselves. Keeping that all in mind is very important, as for now, we are just speculating on what we think this ride could feel like, and there's no telling how good it'll be until it opens. Anyway, I'd like to hear what all of you think of Top Thrill 2 coming to Cedar Point in 2024. Do you think it was the right move by the park, or would you rather seen something else? Make sure to let me know down in the comments below. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to leave a like and subscribe for more coaster content coming very soon. That being said, I'd like to thank you all for watching, and I'll see you all in the next video.